you know about Association of Indian Management Schools? It's a 34-year-old networking body of B schools in India, having a membership of about 600 top management institutions. AIMS focuses on professionalization of management education, protects interests of B schools, represents management institutions at national and international forums, financially supports members in academic events, funds research projects on management, disseminates management-related knowledge through its annual Management Education Convention, conferences, seminars, roundtables and workshops, organizes free weekly webinars on knowledge sharing and inspiring young leaders sessions for management faculty and students, supports B schools in admissions through ATMA, AIMS test for management admissions. Visit https://atmaims.com for more details. Publishes a biannual AIMS Journal of Management. Visit https://aimsjournal.com for more details. Circulates a quarterly e-newsletter on AIMS activities. Conducts workshops on case writing. Encourages AIMS members to be part of decision-making processes as members of chapter management committees and the executive board. Encourages students' participation in free weekly quiz competitions by providing support to interested institutions. Facilitates networking and interaction among B schools. Why would you like to remain a non-member of AIMS? Pay a very low one-time membership fee and enjoy many lifetime benefits. Visit https://aims.org.in for more details.
Dear participants, we have the speaker ready and waiting, but in between the speaker and you, I'll just take 2 minutes. Participant, today we have with us a very eminent speaker on the subject, Professor D.N.S.KUMAR, the former Vice Chancellor of Sushant University, Gurugram, and is currently on a greenfield project of establishing a university in Bangalore. So welcome, sir. Welcome to the webinar. He's a very prolific writer and an orator on various areas such as management, corporate finance, higher education, and many more areas that is well versed. And Dr. Kumar is also a certified valuation analyst and, more importantly, a forensic finance expert from USA. And he's also certified management accountant from USA, certified chartered valuer from Indian Institute of Valuation, Pune. So Dr. Kumar has executed several consultancy assignments in areas of PPP, cluster development, business plan, DPRs, financial appraisal projects, and so on. And not only an orator and a writer of books, he has 60 plus research papers to his credit. That's something that a marriage between practice and academics is something that's very interesting. And also published a few books and monographs and working papers. So today he'll be speaking to new as a origin, but it's a very, very interesting and new subject as a practice. So we started realizing the importance of having something like forensic finance, forensic accounting off late when we're struck at the midst of a lot of scams, so to say. However, not only detection, but prevention is also something that the forensic finance, forensic accounting will help us. I think the professor speaker will take us through a lot more detail. With this initial remarks, before I hand it over to the speaker for about a 40-minute talk, sir, there are 2 announcements that I should make. The participants will not be able to talk in between. So it's not going to be an interactive session. The participants can ping their queries in the chat box. We'll take a record of the chat box, important queries, and all of them will be addressed towards the end of the session, about 10 to 15 minutes. This is announcement number 1. The announcement number 2 is that during the Q&A, that's toward the end of the 15 minutes, we'll be circulating a feedback and attendance form, and it will be available for you for only those 15 minutes. So, and only those people filling that form are eligible to get the certificates from AIMS. So with this initial remarks, I hand over to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon to one and all. It's my privilege to be part of this exercise of unlearning ourselves in the emerging areas of finance, accounting, and so on. Before I get into, I must profusely thank Dr. P.N. Reddy, who is my guru and role model. Although we have not met during the last 30 years, but we are very much in touch with several deliberations and discussions on management education. When he checked with me, I have to take a session. I was wondering on what topic I should be speaking. I thought I will give a couple of topics. I gave one is forensic finance, second one is ethical aspects in business. He immediately chose this topic, which I'm not that expert, but during the last few years, I do practice in forensic finance. Whatever little I can build the perspective to the topics, next 40 minutes, I will try my best. Well, the topic which has been given to me is emergence of forensic finance. I assume we all are in the fraternity of management education. Many of us who are participating here may be in the finance, accounting, and taxation areas. In a way, forensic finance is a new, not a new area of unlearning. If we go back to its origin, that is emergence, it originated in 17th century. And the word forensic derives from forensis. In other words, in open court, that is a forum. See, archaeological survey of 3000 to 3500 BC, in ancient Egypt, we used to have scribes. And today they are known as accountants. And today, more than accounting, what is more and most important, which is becoming a significant area in the finance and accounting subject domain, is detection of frauds that knowingly or unknowingly happens while accounting it and while executing the finance discipline. Why so? Since we have well-established principles of accounting, well-defined standards in accounting, and we articulate well the finance also. When we take up several projects, practice the financing, investment, or any other decision of finance. As I mentioned, knowingly, unknowingly, but if we put the ratio without exactly the ratio, most of the frauds happen knowingly. And that to happen not because of anybody in the accounts department, maybe here and there, but knowingly it happens because of the top management. And all those are getting a scope because business as a sector is emerging in a big way. Nobody wished to remain what he was in the first 5 years or 10 years of his starting the business venture. Everybody wants to grow. Everybody wants to get into different continents of business. And legal framework that we have, whether nationally or internationally, we need to comply. And when we get into compliance of legal aspects, we find that some of the legal provisions are not that encouraging, wherein we may lose a lot of revenue that we have generated. In that process, as I said, the top level management, maybe with the help of so-called consultants or the advisors, they get into unethical practices, which leads to fraud, misappropriation, manipulation of books of accounts, and so on and so forth. The third reason also which gives a scope, knowingly we establish such system, which is the system's efficiency is very poor. When the system's efficiency is very poor, the scope for committing financial, accounting, internal and external frauds will be more. Although topic says forensic finance, it is in between accountancy and investigation. Or we would say it emerges out of these two. Before we get into the basic aspects of forensic finance, let me give one example. Snowkist Growers was a company in US who were into food business. During 2009 and 10, unfortunately, they strained their relationship with the operating lenders. I mean, who is to support them? Not the term finance, but the working finance. As a result of which, sustainability of the business and profitability of the business was at a question mark. And they started incurring the loss. And in 2011, in December, they passed a resolution and decided to go for reorganization to get protected themselves under section, or we say chapter 11 of US Bankruptcy Code. Having given that thought, in March 2011, they thought of a new line of credit. And that new line of credit could help them to revive their business and to get into a profitable mode. But to their bad luck, in May 2011, North Carolina school children mildly fell sick when they consumed the lunch. when they consumed the lunch, in the lunch, apple sauce was there. And because of that, majority of the students fell sick. Because of that, Federal Food and Drug Administration decided to go for inquiry. What is the problem with the apple sauce which is supplied by the snokist growers? And in the process of inquiry, Federal Food and Drug Administration authorities, to company's luck, they did not find anything wrong with the apple juice. But Federal Food and Drug Administration took a decision. We want to go for extended investigation. And when they went ahead for extended investigation, they found that at plant level, there are some deficiencies. At plant level, not a product level. When they found that deficiency, and when it came in the market, a company which was getting into revival mode, they lost 2 of their good customers as the news spread. Company did all its best to convince the FDA, Food and Drug Administration authorities, to approve our case as early as possible. Whatever the deficiencies are there, we are addressing immediately. But to give the approval, FDA took some time. Few months they took. In that process, they lost a lot of the business. And the revival, the new line of credit which they were anticipating, that also did not come. Now, what I'm trying to highlight here, it is not only in the course of recording, accounting. If there is any lapse as far as the investment which has to be carried out, the standard which has to be carried out, that also may affect our business. And ultimately, it not only affects the business, but other stakeholders of the business also happens. So, forensic finance discipline is emerging in such a broad level and getting into such a deeper activities. How it helps the business organizations or otherwise also. Forensic finance won't help only the business organization. It helps the layman also. I'll give a couple of examples in due course of time. There are 2 important things in forensic finance. As an analyst or as a consultant, they assist maybe an individual, maybe a corporate. How best financial frauds can be prevented, crimes can be prevented at an early stage only. And at the same time, if there are so many frauds or the crimes which have been carried out, they look into the past, since when the crime has happened, what is the time duration and what is the amount involved. All that loss, that is financial value which has been lost, will be recovered from the people who were the party to commit such frauds and crimes. All these at US level under chapter 7 and 11 have been very specifically specified. Coming to an Indian context, we must thank the then finance minister of our country, Arun Jaitley, having brought in insolvency and bankruptcy code. Slowly, the provisions are getting emerged. How to make accountable the people and how to recover the financial loss for which they are the party. At the same time, forensic finance exercise also indicates, it's a better indicator for investment opportunities and also determines true value. What is the true value of a business? How this exercise is a advisory tool as far as investment opportunities are concerned and determining the true value is concerned. Let me give an example. In 2016, I took up one consultancy assignment from Florida, US. The name of the company is Redmond and Company. Redmond and Company wanted to pass 25% of the stake to some other organization. And when the process of valuation we started, I'll give only one example. There were so many aspects which we looked into. Redmond and Company was established by Mr. Redmond with 25 years of experience in printing industry. Redmond and Company was in printing industry. Later on, when he made it as a corporate entity, his wife joined. And both were the major shareholders. Redmond, being in a key position, he started drawing at that time 4.5 lakh, approximate I'm talking, 4.5 lakh $1 per annum as his package. Approximately similar package was offered to his missus also, Mrs. Redmond. She had no experience in printing industry, and her profile in the company was she used to look after the stores and warehouse. And her package was close to $4,25,000 per year. We raised an objection. By showing or claiming or drawing so much of salary over a period of time, you have reduced the profitability of the company. Mrs. Redmond is not eligible to draw so much of salary. Neither she has an experience in printing industry in the past, nor she has been working in a leadership position. So therefore, when we checked with the local authorities to that profile, what could be an appropriate package? The package which was recommended was around $67,000 to $68,000 per annum. As a result of which, we recasted the financial statements for the last 5 years, which we wanted to address in order to decide the strength and also for the projections. As a result of which, the profitability was different. the valuation was different. And this is how this could be called as one of the theft in forensic finance, that is financial theft. I'm using a heavy word. People who have floated the company, they themselves get into this kind of activity. There can be no better word than coining it as a financial theft. So this is how the valuation of a company goes different, which helps to prospective investors who want to come with 25%. And exchequer, whatever he would have got, he was not getting. The profitability was reduced by charging to the accounts $425,000 in place of $67,000. When it comes to the notice of taxation authorities also, they get into forensic audit. So friends, it is such an area wherein the scope available to mismanage one's business organization, they create a financial crisis, disturb the financial health of the company, and to window dress such financial health of the company are many. Sometimes we also get into profit skimming. Profit skimming is an exercise wherein debtor tries to showcase the business as low as possible so that the seller will not have much claim. Creditor will not have much claim. When we get into bankruptcy, the creditors get the preference. But you have created a scenario such, your business activities you have showcased very low. Even if a business organization is dissolved or somebody tries to take over, the creditors will not get the due for which they are eligible. That process is called as profit skimming. Sometimes, in order to give some kind of a bribe to one or other people, we also increase in some transactions. We communicate to the parties, you charge a higher percentage of commission in several contracts and some transactions. And by one or other means, maybe in cash, maybe in kind, maybe in property, or maybe in the stake in the company, you pass that difference to us. So the question comes at this stage only, how to get into it, why it happens. Not that every time for every transaction, you require a forensic analyst. When an organization is missing third and the fourth eye, I mean to say third and the fourth eye, the scope for committing the fraud and the crimes is higher. And as I mentioned to earlier also, if you have a technology which is an ineffective one, or effectiveness of the technology is very poor, internal control system is very weak. The scope for the fraud is very high. Fraud also happens in the area of securities, which are called as white collar crimes, wherein some of the key officials of the organization pass the information of the company, the new strategies, new key people joining the organization, the growth perspective the company will have in due course of time. When you pass such kind of information in the stock market, it benefits to the few people and it affects to others. And as a result of which, the fraud happens. And that is called as securities fraud. Recently, an edutech company which is in news, Byju's Edutech, you all must have heard, they were running a shell company which was totally owned by a Chinese people. Around 89 crore was transferred from India to there without complying to Foreign Exchange Management Act. The collection happened here, but direct transfer happened in the form of liquid cash, funds. So therefore, when the organizations start running the shell companies in the name of relatives, in the name of friends, the scope for the fraud also is very high. So therefore, as our objective is to maximize the wealth, value to the stakeholders of the organizations, we should have a robust system. Periodically, the key transactions, performance of the business organization through trend analysis, data analysis, we should be able to track where the scope for fraud is there and where the fraud is happening. Many a time, as I mentioned about Redmond and Company, in corporate valuation also, we want to value the corporates or the business or the company, whatever the nomenclature, the way or some methodology, not the way we want, some methodology. But when we take up that exercise through proper accounting documents with a very scientific investigation approach, we should be able to do good justice to the purpose for which the valuation is carried out. I had a client from Belgaum in Karnataka way back in 2004-05, Ashok Iron Works. They are into foundry business. Currently, they are doing an extremely good job. A foundry industry is a mother industry for all engineering industries. They used to produce castings with 7 setups established by 2 promoters from 2 different families, majority shareholders, minority shareholders. After a couple of decades, a difference has started between minority and majority. Minority shareholders approached us we want to get separated, and can we make a decent valuation of this company? In a similar way, majority shareholders also. We made a valuation, case went to district court, minority shareholder won the case, majority shareholder take it to High Court. The same valuation is not acceptable to me. The value of the assets, what they have considered, maybe fixed assets, maybe open properties that we have. This is not acceptable. Then in the High Court, they won the case, majority shareholders. Then we moved to Company Law Board, Chennai. And Company Law Board, Chennai gave the decision in our favor. In 2004-05, we were asking approximately 12 CR for a valuation around 47, 48 CR. When we won the case in Company Law Board, they went to Supreme Court. And in the Supreme Court said, the approach that you have adopted for valuation is not acceptable to us. You both have a valuer who are the private valuer. We will appoint the valuer. And the Supreme Court gave the direction to Supreme Court valuer based upon 10 similar companies in India, similar size, age of the company, number of employees of the company. Like this, some variables they give or the parameters they give. When Supreme Court valuer carried out the valuation, where we were asking 12 crore rupees, we got around 22 CR, 22 plus CR. That is, in the forensic finance, it is not only the financial aspects which will be looked in, the legal aspects also, the social aspects also, the developmental aspect also. How do I say developmental aspect? He or she may get 12 crore of rupees, but he has contributed a couple of decades to establish those organizations. Now he has to start the fresh. So therefore, a respectable and appropriate valuation has to be carried out. And that is where the forensic audit or the forensic finance or forensic analyst advises not only his clients, but also various authorities. Friends, recently I came across a company which I will not be able to name it, but as I narrate, you will be able to understand which is this company, because currently I'm doing some exercise to that company. This company was under the scanner of Income Tax Department, with an objection that, of course, you have filed the IT return, but your financial statements have been not prepared complying to the IT norms. That sector act norms. I don't want to mention that sector also. And Income Tax Department said, considering last 3 years IT returns, you have claimed 1,100 plus crores of rupees expenses to your statement of expenses, which is not admissible expense. Imagine 1,100 crores. Income Tax Department is saying ineligible expenses which you have debited to P&L account. The tax saved is more than 350 CR. And this investigation started after 3 years, after after filing 3 IT returns. Now the penalty will be 200%, 350, another 200%, approximately 1,000 crore rupees penalty itself. So therefore, forensic finance plays a very significant role. Organization cannot take it lightly, the accountancy or auditing exercise. We may wonder here, the statutory auditor of that company must have certified the books of accounts. Yes, all that was done. Many a time audit happens, a final audit, which is a statutory audit, which they finish in 15 days. Many a time they won't look into that sector act admissible expenses. What I'm saying here is 1,100 crore plus non-admissible expenses were debited. If then and there only an investigation is carried out internally or forensic audit is carried out, this kind of trouble won't come. It went for assessment, then further for investigation. Now it has moved to a court. It's very simple. Under the Act, if 100 is permissible expense for a particular activity, maybe say gift. I can give a gift to a professor of an institution up to 100, but I gave a gift of 500. 400 is not admissible. This is how 1,100 crore has come into picture. And when we carry out the forensic audit, we not only look into the accounting aspect, but also the legal aspects. Friends, sometimes in order to window dress, there are companies who do a transaction where the sale has not happened. No sale transaction. It is not in the form of no sale, but you all know a big story of Enron. Enron, where the share was trading at $90.75 per share, when the bankruptcy was announced, suddenly it fell down to $0.26. And why this was? As you all know, there was a fake holding by several shareholders and promoters of the company. And of the books of accounting practices were very high. Now, how to detect all this? When you carry out something out of the books of accounts practices, many a time it will not be known to accountant. And when the audit starts, the accountant brings whatever he has accounted. And when the forensic auditor comes or analyst comes, he will not only look into the quantitative information that you give, but he will observe the mind of the people who are giving the data information to him, and also sense what kind of other or otherwise transactions are happening where and how. That is a total shareholder's perspective, a stakeholder's perspective approach is taken in forensic audit. At the same time, forensic audit also helps in diverse cases. A husband and wife who gets into a legal battle for divorce, a valuation of a properties, a business, or anything, the assets that you have, is a big challenge. It will not be just based upon the documents that you provide. Documents plus audited reports, plus otherwise transactions which happens. Yesterday I was interacting with a new client who has 3 showrooms, vehicle showrooms. And when I asked him the balance sheet, to my surprise, the balance sheet was not even crossing 25 lakhs. I said, how are you surviving? No, sir, this is just to show. Now he wants a new financing. I said, only this documents of financial statements and your IT return will not help. You have to give collateral, bigger collateral. So therefore, these are all the practices. And these practices, many a time, are not extending a proper value to the stakeholders. We get into fraudulent transfers, related party transactions. Another 2 minutes, I will close, Professor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am about to remind you that. So.
Yeah. As you appeared, I understand.
Thank you, sir.
That's a good sign.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So we'll have
Then
some
also,
time for Q&A.
You know, Chanda Kuchur case also, financial irregularities, going beyond the board or the authority and helping the family members. Otherwise, we would have helped to needy people in the development sector. And that too at a concessional rate. So, falsifying the statements, filing the fraudulent petitions just to demoralize, destabilize the business organizations, and many times in the petitions, courts of law also won't get into all that, and they take a decision. And that is where again forensic analyst comes to the rescue of such people against whom fraudulent petitions have been filed. Soliciting money from investors, providing the information, all these, are the new areas wherein the discipline of commerce, accounting, finance is emerging in a big way. We must look into the development which is happening, the complexities which are getting built, and my humble submission and request to all my fraternity colleagues to kindly bring in some kind of certifications or altogether program itself in forensic finance in your respective institution. With these remarks, I would have given several examples, but few examples which I gave, touching few of the important aspects, I assume has brought some clarity and some interest to learn and unlearn on the topic forensic finance. I thank once again the organizers having given me this opportunity to share little of the knowledge that I have in this field. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. I think it has been a very, very, very elaborate within the short span of time, giving so many examples. You really made it so practical, and you quoted very real, live examples that the participants can connect to. I was expecting questions, but your session was very live. That there are not many questions. We have few questions that were there in the chat box, sir. I'll just kind of take these questions. Sir, do you think there are some special skills required for a forensic accountant other than the general subject knowledge and audit practice? Are there any special skills that you see, required for this accountant, forensic accountant?
As I mentioned, in addition of accounting, auditing, and financial knowledge, the knowledge of law also is very important.
Legal knowledge, yeah.
Legal knowledge. And at the same time, one needs to understand the holistic picture.
Yeah.
As you have got the client, you should not be all the time thinking about the client only. If you think about the client only, the matter will get dragged in the court of law if it is there for a quite long time. How best you can convince your client also and other party also will not get put into much loss. You can strike the deal.
Yes,
that perspective also is very important. Then
thank you, sir.
Knowledge of statistics and mathematics also is very important. Many a time you have to draw the trend analysis.
Yeah.
And you should be able to get into some research attitude also. It should be very good, because you may not know the client to whom you have got, you may not know anything about that sector, but you should be able to get into that sector and try to understand that sector. The most important thing, the last one, is you really have to have a good net worth of friends in different sectors who are working. More than you doing a research, they will be able to add you a lot of value.
So it's more like a crime investigation.
Yeah, of course. The top. The area is that, but we don't coin like that.
Don't call it that way. Sir, extending that question, one participant is asking, how do you detect these off-balance sheet items, and how do you investigate them further?
You see, you have sold something to somebody, some property, and the real value of that property may be 10 CR, whereas you sell it for 6 CR. And the person to whom you have sold, you're asking him to give me some asset which I can use in my company, maybe worth 3 CR, wherein no transaction happened. You sold the product which is worth 10 CR for 6 CR, and you got the asset without bringing into the books of accounts which you are using.
Yeah. So that's the pointer.
Yeah.
Sir, you have already asked the academic community to initiate some certificate or degree programs. In your knowledge, are there any specialized institutions, courses being offered either in India or abroad, sir?
Yeah, I heard that Institute of Chartered Accountant is initiating certificate courses in forensic finance.
Yeah.
Otherwise, in abroad, there are programs, certified forensic finance expert. At the same time, if to do that program, one should be CPA. But to do MAFF, Master Analyst in Forensic Finance, no CPA is required. Right, and which is it is a costly one, but not a difficult one to get into that.
Sure, sir. Yeah. I think there is a lot of interest in this area, sir, recently, and then I came to know that a couple of institutions are actually trying to introduce the certificate courses. So as and when they materialize, I'll be happy to share with this group. Sure. But as of now, the general, the aggregators of courses like Coursera, Udemy, they are offering few courses. So the interested participants can check that space.
Yeah.
Even you might get a degree from a foreign university. So do you have any pointers, general pointers as to what are the researchable areas within this broad subject called forensic finance? Because this mostly an academic group, probably some of them are planning to do their PhD or research in this area. Can you give them some pointers, some areas that are researchable?
See, what one can think of is internationally, there are quite a good number of case studies which have been published.
Sure.
On forensic finance cases. One can make a comparative analysis so that you get a whole lot of illustrative and exhaustive areas where the frauds are more,
Right, sir.
and which frauds where the financial loss is more. Maybe out of 100 areas, maybe 20 areas where the financial loss is very 80%. And these 80 areas, only 20% of the total financial loss. So that kind of topics one can think of. And one can also get into legal cases in high courts and company law board.
Okay.
Yeah, those caselets are well published. One can get into that.
Sure. Good, sir. This is a good input. I think maybe as a starting point, even the participants can consider creating cases which are of Indian origin. Probably that could be one area which the initial stage researchers can explore. So then we have one question, sir. Maybe the last one. Sir, do you see how do you see the balance between the prevention and detection in this forensic finance, sir? So, which side should be weighing more? Should we be careful in preventing, or of course detection anyway we'll have to do once something happens?
As I said, prevention is always better than what to say.
Yes, sir.
If I mentioned, if the third and the fourth eye is there in the organizations, prevention happens at the early stage only, and that is much better.
Right, sir.
Right.
So prevention is always better.
Always much better, and that is one of the the first primary aspect of forensic finance.
Yeah.
Not just as a consultant, there are a few organizations who are without disclosing, they're appointing the forensic analyst.
Yeah.
Who is like a watchdog.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Participants, any one final question we can take? And sir, I just also share the feedback of the participants that I see in the chat box. All kinds of appreciation for you. People are really praising a lot.
It was my pleasure to interact.
Yeah. The captions read excellent, very elaborate session, full of examples, very live, dynamic. These are the words that I see in the chat box. As I'm searching for questions, I'm getting this.
Yeah. Can I take 1 minute? Somebody writes, does NSC scam fall under this category? Of course.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Of course.
So, if there are no questions, participants, I think you have also filled the feedback form and also your attendance. So, I'll move on to the last a pleasure duty of mine. Proposing vote of thanks for onset, and at the end, I profusely thank you, sir, for really taking your time out.
Thank you so much,
D.N.S.KUMAR, sir.
Yeah.
I must tell you my feedback also. I sat through the whole session, making a lot of notes, and I teach finance, and I really value your examples The way you connected them, and it has been really live and very, very dynamic, sir. So on behalf of AIMS and on my personal behalf, it was my pleasure joining with you.
Thank
on
you.
This forum.
And I propose to thank all the participants too also.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. So on
Thank
this occasion, I also want to place on record our sincere thanks on my personal behalf and on behalf of the participants for organizing this session. So the thanks goes to the AIMS National President, Professor R. Nandagopal, and also you were mentioning Professor Narayan Reddy,
Yeah.
who is also my guru. He's the regional vice president. So it is the initiative of AIMS and these two people behind. We had a series of sessions like this. Each session is really adding value, and we have named it as knowledge sharing sessions. A lot of knowledge is being shared. And I also thank all the other board members for their continuous support for these sessions. And more importantly, the staff that worked behind this, Sunil ji and Priya madam. Thank you so much. And Venkateshwar garu, also my thanks to him. So we'll be ending this session. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.